you so much, and good afternoon from Vienna. Bonjour à toutes et à tous. And please let me start by thanking the network of Pluriel and Monsieur Michel Younes, Sultan Al-Ali, for the warm welcome and for the invitation to speak here today. Thank you so much. I will focus on three aspects. First, I will start with the document on human fraternity and showcase its relevance and key elements for dialogue and for reflection. I was, I think it was written in the outline. I was in 2019, when the document was signed, I was the Austrian ambassador to the Holy See in Rome. And now I'm the director of the department in the Austrian Foreign Office that deals inter alia with interreligious and intercultural dialogue. The second part of my presentation, there I will outline how intercultural and interreligious dialogue are essential elements of our Austrian foreign cultural policy. I will expand on the role of the task force of cultures and religions and present our definition of dialogue and the most important outcome, which for us is the transformative potential of dialogue. In our dialogues, we usually include state and non-state actors, so I will highlight our 1.5 track. I will outline that when I come to it. And in concluding, I will present to you Austrian best practice examples in interreligious and intercultural dialogue, such as the Platform of Recognized Religious Communities, or the Muslim Jewish Leadership Council, or the Intercultural Achievement Award, which is an award which is distributed by the Austrian Foreign Office. But let's start with the basis. The basis is the document on human fraternity. I remember very well when I was in Rome in February 2019. At that time, when I was there, and we heard, in the media that this document was signed, it attracted very high attention. On one hand, this attention due to the fact that high religious leaders were acting so visibly together. On the other hand, the attention came because of the content of this very rich document. The more we were analyzing and studying the document, the more new elements and aspects we found in it. But in principle, at least from my point of view, all these aspects culminated in the importance of dialogue. A crucial paragraph is the following, and I quote from the document on human fraternity. Dialogue, understanding, and the widespread promotion of a culture of tolerance, acceptance of others, and of living together peacefully would contribute significantly to reducing many economic, social, political, and environmental problems. I want also to highlight another aspect of the human fraternity document, which in our view is equally important. It's the aspect of research and reflection, exactly what we are doing here today. The declaration says, and I quote again, Al-Azhar and the Catholic Church ask that this document become the object of research and reflection in all schools, universities, and institutes of formation, to educate new generations to bring goodness and peace to others, and to be defenders everywhere of the rights of the oppressed and of the least of our brothers and sisters, unquote. So how was this important declaration perceived? I want to talk today a bit about the Austrian perspective, and I shall concentrate said, on these two aspects of dialogue and of reflection. In our actual government program, it is stated that Austria is understood as a place of dialogue and that the dialogue between religions and cultures remains essential. In fact, we have many years of experience in cultural diplomacy and the development of cultural relations. And we support international dialogue initiatives with governmental and non-governmental participants, including representatives from academia, religion, and NGOs. The growing importance of identity, religion, and culture in the context of our very complex global issues, and I think of climate crisis, migration, distributive justice, and many more. These problems, they call for special instruments to deal with them. And these instruments are instruments of interreligious and intercultural dialogue, which are based on values and laws that include democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. In this context, the involvement of civil society in representatives from academic, religious community, and NGO is a key element in establishing or expanding the dialogue. To make the importance of interreligious and intercultural dialogue visible, we have established a department for scientific cooperation and dialogue between cultures and religions at the Austrian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This is the department which I'm directing right now. And in 2007, we have established a special Dialogue of Cultures force, which maintains contacts with the recognized religious communities in Austria. And we have 16 recognized religious communities in Austria. And in addition to the contacts with these 16 communities, the task force under the leadership of Mr. Alexander Rieger, whom many of you might know also personally from past events, this task force develops, coordinates, and implements intercultural and interreligious civil society dialogue strategies. And also, they also cover this very thematic complex of religion and diplomacy. I'm not dealing with this complex today, but this is also a very wide field, diplomacy, where you have separate working groups dealing with that topic. But let me give you an idea what we understand when we talk of dialogue. We understand dialogue as an action, and it goes beyond conversation. So we understand dialogue as an interaction between two or more sides, even if those sides are different, opposing, or even if they have irreconcilable opinions. This is an interaction with openness to self-expression, listening to each other without judgments, and especially transformative potential. So, in short, dialogue for us is an interaction between two or more sides with a transformative potential. I think this is the key element of dialogue which we are following. It's a dialogue on an equal level, on an exchange, on a giving and taking. And we are convinced that intercultural and interreligious dialogue, that they can a contribution, a significant contribution, international confidence building and peacekeeping as the prevention of dialogue can also promote and strengthen freedom of religion or belief. And we do that through a best practice exchange. Let's come now to some concrete examples of our dialogue work, which we are doing in the Foreign Office. We are doing dialogue with state and non-state actors, and we follow there a track 1.5 approach. Track 1.5 means it is a dialogue that includes both state and civil society participants. I mean, you all know that track 1 is a dialogue on a state level, but we follow in this interreligious and intercultural dialogue the 1.5 track approach, because we think that it's important to add civil society to our dialogue, and they form a complete and a full part of the delegations. How do these dialogues work? We arrange on a state level, we arrange meeting time and place. State level are mostly foreign offices, but also religious ministries. It depends on the country with whom we are having this dialogue. Usually the dialogue rounds take place once a year, and we change every year. It will be in Austria or will be in the partner country. When time and place is decided, then each country decides on the composition of the state delegation and of the non-state delegation, depending on the topics which we discuss, and the topics are also decided consensually. And the actual exchange is in form mostly of an exchange of best practice examples. So we exchange on what is working very well in each country, on each side, on the country side, partner country, in the Austrian, on the Austrian side. And the idea is to get also to know each other better, because when you, as I said before, when I was quoting Dr. Martin Luther King, when you know each other better, then it's so much easier to exchange and talk about different topics, also difficult topics. So to get to know each other better means that cultural exchange. For example, when we have delegations in Austria, we visit monasteries, but we also visit mosques, we visit synagogues. We had recently a webinar on the importance of sacred music in different religions. So we had an exchange with different religious communities, also with teachers of different religious communities. This all contributes to get to know each other much more better. I mentioned before that we do an exchange of best practice examples. Just to illustrate that a bit more, I want to mention 3 best practice examples which we mention inter alia in this dialogue. One, platform of recognized community. I mentioned before we have 60 recognized religious communities in Austria. And in 2012, there was the establishment of a platform of church and societies. And that means the religious societies and religious communities, they, among themselves, they created a structure for cooperation. And the focus of the joint activities was exchanging views on important issues in their relationship between the state and religious communities, and in addition, relating to the implementation of religious freedom, discussions focused on the contribution of churches and religious societies to a peaceful coexistence in Austria and also in other countries. So the idea of this platform was create possibility that religious communities exchange among themselves on their problems, on their projects, and to strong enough to present their issues outside. to the state, be it internationally, to religious communities outside of the country. This is one practice which, when we have delegations in Austria, we invite representatives of different religious communities to talk also about this platform and of advantages, but also maybe problems which they are encountering. A second best practice example I wanted to mention is the Muslim Jewish Leadership Council. This is a council which has also an outreach to Europe, because in December 2016, 14 European religious leaders, 7 Jewish and 7 Muslims, founded the Muslim Jewish Leadership Council. And the council's advocacy upholds common values, calls for the protection of the universal right to freedom of religion and belief, and many more topics. And it's the same a little bit as the national platform, but it goes beyond the borders. It goes also outside on a level. A third example, which I want to is a national is working well, the Intercultural Achievement Award. It is a key project of the Austrian Federal Ministry for European and International Affairs. And this award honors successful and innovative civil society projects. It's important. We talk about civil society projects now in the field of interreligious and intercultural dialogue, both in Austria, but mostly on a global level. We have received this year more than 300 applications for this Intercultural and Interreligious Achievement Award. That means is a very strong interest of civil society globally to make their projects, which they're doing, visible. And with these awards, they successfully break new ground in this intercultural dialogue. And we have done this for more than 10 years now. And each year we have more applications to be accepted and for this award. And we are very happy that we are able, through this reward, to honor civil society projects in intercultural and interreligious dialogue. To conclude, coming back to the perception of this Declaration on Human Fraternity in Austria, because this is what you asked me to do, how to tell a little bit how this declaration was perceived in Austria. I can say that this declaration was a confirmation already existing interreligious and intercultural dialogue. It is especially the aspect of dialogue and reflection that has reinforced our activities. And also in Austria, we want to highlight the 5th anniversary of the declaration in an event next year, as we think it is important to continuously deal with this very rich text and to further analyze it, also with regard to our daily practices. And maybe we'll have the chance to see one or many of you at this event next year in Vienna. I'm very happy to answer additional questions if you have, but I would also like to thank you for this opportunity to present here our Austrian aspects and our perception of this important document. Thank you so much.